it's incredible to watch you guys grow, everything that you've done. I mean, the Dan Cooper thing is just incredible. I mean, he's never spoke out before, and he speaks out in your show.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it just...
Well, that's how it was with Mark DiMezio.
Yeah.
You know, that was his first time coming forward too. So we have another person who's going to be a first timer coming up, and these people are just finding us. So
yeah, that's incredible. It really is, you know. So what I thought about doing, it took me a while to get here. It's not so much the Joe Rogan experience, because the only similarities me and Joe has is we're both bald and opinionated.
Yeah.
And so this ain't Joe. So if we do it kind of just ad hoc around, you know, what you should do before all this, your awakening, how it came about, and just if we do it in a conversation style, that it's not just, you know, kind of me asking you questions, it's just a kind of, and let's see if it flows, let's see where it goes. But
that's
there's
what
a
I
couple
like
things.
to do.
Yeah. So I'm still trying to steal some stuff from you all, but trying to make it put my own unique style on it as well. There is something I really want to speak to you about, is a theory of mine regarding Atlantis. So I'd like to have that conversation and see where it goes. Because I know a lot of the stuff that you've done, even people with. So let's go for it. Yeah?
Yeah, go for it.
Right. Tell me your background, Terra. Tell me your background when you left school, you know. What did you leave school to do?
He's just so you said tell you about, rephrase that again, sorry, the audio.
your background, like say what was your aspirations when you left school? What was it you ended up doing as a job? You were in a band and stuff like that, so if you want to just kind of cover that bit, and then we'll take
yeah as far as playing in a band and that stuff. Yeah man, so that was my dream. I wanted to play in a heavy metal band, you know, and then it took me a country band, a ska band, a punk band, all these other bands before I got to the metal band that I always wanted, and where I was actually writing my own music and putting it out. And it wasn't 100% what I wanted, but it was good enough, you know? So and then once I did that, and we were a band for, I don't know, 6 years or whatever.
Wow.
And it was just very clear that the world was changing and I was being pulled a different direction, and so were the other members. So I didn't even care that it was falling apart. It was my dream. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to do something with that and tour and be big. But then quickly I realized, like, no, I'm satisfied. Like I did. Like I felt like I just a notch in the belt. Like I did what I set out to do. And so I felt satisfied in that regard. And then basically simultaneously with the band falling apart, which now that I know about synchronicities and signs, like I saw the signs coming the whole time. Like there was just so many things that we were parting ways. And then I ended up stumbling across this information that led to my awakening. Yeah. What we call the awakening. And it was life-changing. You know how that goes. And
yeah.
I don't know what was happening to me, but I know that I liked it, but it was scary. It was very difficult because like all of a sudden I didn't care about all my friends anymore. And not that I didn't care about them, I just wasn't interested in doing that stuff anymore like we used to do. And then even the girl I was with at the time, I just lost interest in that relationship, you know, and I felt bad. I felt bad for her, but unfortunately, my mind was like, okay, what's going on this planet? We've been lied to, blah, blah, blah. Like, everything that used to satisfy me didn't anymore. Yeah. And I had this new urge to just seek out information and discovered the truth, you know, what's going on.
Yeah. So was it a kind of SSP type thing that kind of kicked it in, that you're awakening? Was it a sighting, or was it something similar to that?
No, it was the SSP information, in particular, cosmic disclosure, that I would say activated me. That's what it felt like.
Right.
I had been since 2010 watching Ancient Aliens and every UFO and Bigfoot program and everything that was out there, and it always got my attention. But when it was over, and I went back to my life. I never was researching or looking into it more. And until things started changing, and the whole snowball of synchronicities led me to cosmic disclosure. And when I watched episode 1, I was just like this innate, intuitive, like I knew it feeling like this is the stuff I've been looking for, that all these other shows just where they leave you hanging,
Yeah.
They leave you hanging. And then now this cosmic disclosure was taking off from the end of all those episodes. It was like, okay, now here's something that's actually going on. And I didn't even have to question it. I didn't question it. I should have, and we all should. But when something rings that true and resonates so deeply to where it changes you and it flips your life upside down, there's something to that. Where people have to ask your friends if your friends want to have an intervention for you because they think you're going crazy. That's how I know that information is real. Whether or not it's real to the rest of the world, it's real for me. And do I have some type of participation in those programs or whatever the case may be? I don't know. But I know that it was enough to flip my world upside down and make everybody look at me like I was going crazy.
It's funny you mentioned about the intervention, and I laugh because my family held one for me as well. I'd seen an orb, much like you. It was kind of ancient aliens, all this kind of stuff. It's always been sci-fi, and it's not even been, like kind of Star Wars stuff. It's always been an interest. I always had a big fascination with Frank Herbert, the Dune books, because it felt so scientific, but so relatable to our life to a degree, royal families, fighting amongst each other, stuff like that. And my ex-wife, and she got her family around, my family up from Campbelltown, and they were sitting there and going, your drinking's a problem. And by this time I'd been 3 years sober. And
yeah.
You're saying a problem, like, do you know what I mean? But you're seeing orbs. I mean, you think they're coming up and down the street, and I'm telling you, they're coming up and down the street. It was nuts. But again, like you, I think Ancient Aliens was, you can say what you want about it, but the amount of information, the stuff that had set a lot of people on the journey, I think is got to be held up quite high. But like you, cosmic disclosure, I fell into Gaia, and I was like, oh, there's something quite real about this. There's something, there's no evidence being presented here. It's just whistleblower testimony, but there's something about this whistleblower testimony that I don't know. There's something inside me knows it's true.
It impacted the world. It impacted all the starseeds around the world, and obviously people have a lot of problems with some of the behaviors of Corey Good now and some of the information, but that's neither here nor there. If you think about it, if you think about it, like not every person, but almost all the people that I've talked to that watched Cosmic Disclosure and are doing some sort of show or project or platform, whatever or podcast, they were inspired by Corey's testimony. That's why I started. That's why I started doing this, and part of me thinks that whatever, how if you go back to that Blue Avian message, how they were supposed to, they've tried it in the past, but everyone started worshiping the messenger. Well, if you look at it now, you have a guy who delivers all this information to us, activates thousands of starseeds around the planet. They all start their own project and start waking people up around them, and there's just a ripple effect, right? Well, now this guy, the guy who started it all, who got us all to where we are now, well, he didn't do it, but it was because of that.
It was a spark.
Yeah, the spark. Well, now we see him. now we see him in lawsuits and doing stuff that is very 3D and questionable behavior and whatever the case may be, even bad information, doom and gloom type of stuff. What it's doing is making people separate from him now. They're separating. They're like, okay, I'm not going to hold this guy up on this pedestal like I once was, because he's showing that he's human too, and we're all going down our own paths. But what it's also doing is it's disconnecting the message from the messenger. And I have to ask myself, is this divinely orchestrated this way by, let's say, the sphere beings or the blue avians? Maybe Corey is doing what he's doing right now by design to separate. So the message came. You know what I'm saying?
It's a great shout. Honestly, it's a great shout. And for the record, that to go back now to his testimony and say everybody resonated with it, right? There's no denying that. I think 100% people, like you said, it started something, it activated, it kick-started something, and there's no denying that. And I can still go back to these testimonies, still go back to Cosmic Disclosure, and still feel exactly the same way. And like you said, whatever he's doing now, regardless of how anybody feels, we shouldn't go back all the way back and then go, well, is that wrong? I don't think it was. Now, like you said, we're all human. We either agree or disagree with the way things are going, but I like the way you put that, and I didn't think of it that way, that is it by design? Is it now that the message is far too important? Because as well as I do, when we had our time on Twitter, like almost a year ago, how many times a LARP would say message over messenger, and it used to infuriate you, going, yeah, but you're only saying that because you're kidding on. But is it now more true now that the message is more important?
Yeah, and in this case, the message got through. And it, like I said, it activated us, and people resonated with it, and we all started our own projects. The message got through, and they had us sticking around just long enough to all get started. And then once we were off on our own, affecting other people, when we found our ground, then is when we started seeing this stuff with Corey happen. And everyone's like, whoa, what's going on with this guy? People were upset. It was heartbreaking for a lot of people, but it needed to happen because we can't hold anybody on a pedestal. The celebrity status is gone. We can't be worshiping these people. So it was a perfect recipe to get everybody to realize, okay, I don't know.
It's a good shout because, people are really standing in their own truth now, their own sovereignty. That, once where, it was, people would, you would see celebrities in adverts and stuff like that, and you go out and buy, the clothes or whatever you tried to look like. I didn't even know guys that would try and, go with a woman because they've seen it in a romantic film, and you're going, it doesn't work like that. But do you know what I mean? It was that kind of fake persona type thing. So then this comes along. And again, it's like, well, everybody's activated. You go along, and then it's like by design, the disappointment is meant to come. And again, I'll relate this to Trump, right?
Yep.
That we were all, this is worldwide. You see what's going on just now, but you still see the Trump flags. You still see, the US flags and all the rest of it. And I know a lot of people get so disappointed because of, say, November. Then January 6th came along, and then, a lot of people still losing the plot over them pushing the vaccination or whatever now. And you're going, what if this is all designed now for us to stand in our absolute own truth, our own sovereignty? And, we were only meant to hold them up for so long. And now by design, he's to do it this way, to separate himself. So then, it was always about power back to the people, and you can't have the power back to the people if we're still worshipping leaders.
If we're still giving our power away, waiting for an external savior, waiting for him to step back in and undo all the executive orders and fix everything that the new administration is screwing up. Well, it's not about that, because it doesn't matter what happens within the government, any governments around the world. It they it matters what we do and how we
Absolutely.
respond. And it's not that easy. And they're putting us in situations where we feel hopeless, and it's affecting us down to every single individual and their families and their children.
Yeah.
It's hard times for some, harder times for others. Some people don't have it so bad, just depending on your situation in life.
Yeah.
And, then you have to think about, well, we all have this contract and we all came here to do something, and we're paying off karma from past lives. If we were a shitty person in our past life, you're going to have a lot of karma this time around, and things aren't going to look that great. Things aren't going to look that great because you're here to go through those lessons and experience and learn. And maybe a lot of this is their own karma. People that are some of these people who are really, really struggling right now, maybe this is part of their own karma. Like, what if everything is that divinely orchestrated? And some of these people that we see, like, no, don't take the jab, don't do this, don't do that. Something there is part of their journey that we're not supposed to interfere with. And we can't change the state of the world individually, but we can change how we respond to things, and just staying positive and loving throughout it all. I mean, not loving like these criminals, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I mean, you can still react or observe, to the situation with an open heart. I mean, that's not saying that you're loving, who we know is behind the scenes and what they're doing and various other things, but almost to that point of observing that you've got that open heart, that you can still function, that you can still go through, but you can still look at news or look at bad news as well as the way you look at good news. Do you know what I mean? And because you're being that real, I still think that affects people that are like us, that are awakened or whatever. Some will still see that as negative, and some will want to stay as positive. And again, like you said, but that might be their way of paying off their karma or whatever. You don't know.
Yeah.
Because I try and choose to stay in the middle as much as I can, but still act when I feel it comes from inside. Like going to these. I've been to, I don't know, 2 or 3 protests and see the energy. It's crazy. It's like, just unconditional love. There's people, I mean, they're singing, Tyler, they're dancing. They're not, it's not all talking about vaccinations and deep state and what's happening. It's just laughing, joking, loving, and just going, look, how do we make a difference? And, people talk about energy, but just going to these things, even like going to a sports game, your team's down in the 10th or in the second half, and the crowd gets behind it, and there's that whoosh of energy that just lifts them up. I mean, that's measurable.
Yeah,
it's not the same. Yeah,
100%. It's measurable. Yeah, and sports is a perfect example of that, of what your energy and your thoughts can do to affect the outcome of something.
Yeah.
If the crowd is not into it, the game, the team feels that, and the team isn't performing at their best. If that crowd gets loud and starts sending that energy to the team, you can physically watch them get that pep in their step and become motivated. And if not, turn things around completely and come back from an impossible deficit. We see that. We see that in sports, and that's this life is this not a game also, And it's exactly the same way. It's how we respond. It's how we respond. Are we going to get down on ourselves and everyone around us because, they're not things aren't looking exactly what we had hoped for. And that's where we have to like detach from the outcome and get rid of these expectations. But are definitely the way we respond and how we think about things and how we talk about people and situations affects the outcome.
Yeah, it's incredibly powerful. And sometimes, it's like a lot of the memes that you see nowadays, that it's using stuff like that, those kind of metaphors. I think the one that they used for masks was the one where they talked about if you're walking down the street naked and you pee on me, but I'm wearing pants, I'm slightly protected, right? And I always found that it's the most bizarre metaphor that, you know, I mean, especially in Scotland, there's a lot of naked people walking about, right? So it's quite a good metaphor for here.
Yeah, I've seen that meme, actually. It's true. I mean,
yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, that whole thing that we're seeing now with the mask and all that stuff is just like, it's just a slap in the face. You know, it's just, it has nothing to do with anything besides them. Like I said, I just imagine these guys, these reptilians, these elites, whoever they are, in some office somewhere with their feet on the desk, smoking a cigar, just laughing, thinking of what they can get us to do next and watch how stupid we are, you know?
Yeah.
That's really all this is. Like, it's just them, you know, they don't see us as people. So we're not being treated like people.
Yeah.
And that's what, and it's just people who might not even have a soul at this point or even be from this planet trying to control us. And they don't give a shit. They're just doing whatever they can get us to do to benefit themselves. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's not going to be about you or me or your family or anything or your lifestyle or your health. It's not about any of that.
Yeah. No, that's agreed. And you know, when so many people awakened in the last 18 months because of restrictions, because of COVID, because of various other things, right? So to me, again, there's some sort of design in that right now, whether we want to pull this down to the microcosm, whatever you want to call it, that, you know, people say, well, why did the White Hats or the Alliance allow this? And I said, well, if you consider it, how many would have awakened if they just, you know, it didn't happen? They needed, you know, people will only find the will to change when they're at their own precipice. And, you know, you hear as well that, you know, how can people not see this now? And I'm absolutely at the conclusion that because people still have a comfortable lifestyle, regardless of what that is, until they find their precipice, they will not find the will to change. And my, not worry, not my negativity or anything, that I'm preparing mentally that it's going to be a kid with vaccination, falling ill in the school because of a mask. Do you know what I mean? That parent will end up. Yeah. That's when that's going to wake them up. And
and it's happening. It's happening right now.
Yeah.
And like you said, if we were all comfortable, nobody would be trying to become better or get out of their situation or even stand up for, you know, like you don't, using another pee analogy, you don't get out of bed. You don't get out of bed until you have to pee. You know,
it's a great shout. It's a great shout. It's an absolute great shout because it's so true.
How many times? How many times have we felt like shit or been sick or even hungover or whatever the case may be? And we don't want to move, but you gotta move eventually when you gotta pee. You gotta get up, you know, or pee yourself. And right now we have a freaking planet of people who don't want to pee themselves. So
that's the world sorted now, right? We've boiled everything right down to a pee. Right, you will not find your precipice until you need to get out of your bed to pee.
Yep.
That's that. Well done, mate. Your journey is complete. I knew we would solve the world's problems. I really did.
Yeah.
I didn't see it being pee, but I'm pleased it is. Do you know what I mean? I really am. I couldn't have asked for, you know.
Well,
some people want Archangel Michael, want Jesus Christ's return, Robert and Tyler. P.
Well, I've used this analogy before also, which is another way to look. Which is another way to look at this. Is I was in construction for 15 years.
Yeah.
They issued you. You were. They didn't issue you tools. You were using the company's tools all the time, and these are $1,000 tools, hundreds of dollars. You know, some of these tools, and they just get thrown around and tossed and dropped and beaten up and kicked. It doesn't matter. People don't care. They're just there to work, collect a paycheck, go home. At the end of the day, they don't even get picked up right. They get thrown back into the case, half-assed, thrown into the gang box, locked up. They're not taken care of. And then they're always, they have such a short shelf life because of that. Nobody's taking care of them. So then what they started doing was issuing individuals their own toolkit. Right. And then they're like, this is your kit. If anything happens to this, now you're responsible for the damage. You're responsible for this. If you lose the battery or the charger, that's on you now. This isn't because they were just like going through tools like that. You know, it was costing them thousands, if not more, thousands and thousands of dollars. Well, soon as those guys were putting in charge of their own tool, you saw the change across the whole industry. Everyone's babying their tools and taking care of them and putting them away right and everything, because now it's yours and it's your responsibility. So to take that to the world right now, and you have everything being done for you and you don't care. You just take it for granted. You're just taking it for granted. That's basically what it boils down to. But when things become real and now you're involved and you're responsible, you're going to start taking care of that. You're going to start doing something about it, because now it's on your shoulders, you know, and you now know that, oh shit, they're not going to provide for me all the time anymore. So if I want this, I have to do something about it to maintain it, you know? Yeah.
So that's a cracking lead in then to kind of where this is then, that if the power is coming back to the people, not just in the US, but worldwide, right, that you need to find that will to change. But then even when you think about what was said about the news, handle with care, you know, it's yours now, is that, you know, is being responsible. It's not just a case of taking a news article and posting it now and just making a comment at the top. If you're taking substantiation, say, from 3 or 4 different places and you're putting a theory behind it, I'm damn sure, and I know I've done it myself, I double check sources. I make sure that the stuff that I'm writing about, I can prove, because I'm responsible for that. And, you know, if that article or whatever takes off and somebody wants to challenge me on it, I know where my T's and C's are. I know where my background stuff comes from. So is almost the health emergency now putting the power back into the people? That, look, you can't rely on doctors. I mean, it's devastating, Tyler. We know it is, that, you know, people aren't getting medically treated. You know, people are being forced down, you know, in some things that we've seen to be jabbed or whatever. Yeah. But how many people are out there now growing their own food in their garden, looking up what plants heal, what vitamins, how to treat your water, even pray to your water and making sure your water's filtered. Yeah, we weren't doing that 4 or 5 years ago, you know. Yeah,
exactly, and it's all stuff that we should have been taught while we were growing up. Yeah, we should be able to go outside. Every single person on this planet should be able to walk outside and know what's harvestable and what's not, what's poisonous, what's not, what benefit this has. Everything, even the stuff that is, everything has a purpose. And if we all knew that, we wouldn't even be cutting our grass. We wouldn't be. We would be half of these things that they want us to think are weeds are actually stuff that could save our lives. And they want us to pick them, and they're labeled weeds for a reason.
Yeah, you know, I'll send you a picture of my back garden. Yeah, how I don't weed now, and they're like 2 foot at the back. Yeah, because of this. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Bringers of the Dawn, that book, Barbara Siniak, whatever, the Pleiadian channel, and part of that book, she said that cutting grass is the biggest MK Ultra experiment on the planet.
No way.
Yeah, they said, like, it's all, your yard should not look like a carpet. Like, that's programming. It's all part of the programming. They, instead of having your front yard and grow into some garden and whatever, be natural, we're all programmed to cut it and make it perfect and clean, and don't walk on it, this and that. It's all a big MK Ultra experiment. But
yeah, I didn't consider that at all.
That's channeled information from the 80s, you know.
Jeez.
And going back,
that's mental.
Yeah, if it's true though. And we shouldn't be living in a situation where we have to cut our own grass. You know, there's other ways to live, but that's their program, that's their system, that's what it looks like here. I still cut my grass. I have to cut it after this interview, actually, to be perfectly honest. But going back to what you were talking about, the news and how we can't, unfortunately, like the doctors, any doctor who does want to speak out, they're getting silenced, they're losing their job, whatever. We know what it looks like. This is just the way things are. But the news, like Operation Mockingbird, I mean, we talk about it all the time, but look it up for anybody who doesn't know what it is.
Yeah.
Look it up and then watch the news after you've researched that. And they literally tell you that everything's a cover story. Like tonight's cover story. Everything's a cover story, covering up the truth. Like there's a double meaning there. I don't care. Like, there's coverage. You're covering an event, but it has two meanings there. You're also covering, you're covering the truth with whatever. And we're living in a world where we can't visit half of these places. We don't know what's going on in Antarctica. We don't know what's happening in Afghanistan. We have to take everybody's word for it. And if that's where we're at, then we're fucked, because we don't know.
Absolutely.
We don't know what these people are, what's actually going on there. And we know that they are programmed to lie to us. They've been caught countless times using false videos and photographs from prior years before, because of what they're telling us isn't actually happening. So they have to use an old photo. And so most of these people are so in zombie mode, they're not even questioning it. They're not thinking twice. Just like space. Like, how are we ever going to know what's actually going on in space if we just have to take their word for it? And that's where we're at right now. So even some of these facts, things that we know or we think we know as facts, might not even be facts. And what is a fact? A fact is when enough people agree upon a theory, it becomes a fact. But facts all start off as a theory.
The SS guy, is it Joseph Goebbels, was, I'm not saying his name right, I don't think, but he said that if the lie's repeated enough, it then becomes the truth.
That's how manipulation works.
Right. So that's where we are, and it's a great shout. We've both seen the footage from Afghanistan. We've seen and if that plane, that C-17 was moving, those guys would be literally blown back to Iran. Right. Even simple, knowing that if there's an engine in that, even powering up, they wouldn't be able to cling on the side of this. And then you're hearing, I'll take it from this point of view, from the UK, they're saying they're going door to door now, and they're shooting people, right? And the videos I've seen, they're on the Dodgems. They're playing their Kalashnikovs to Taylor Swift as if they're playing the guitar. Now, that doesn't seem to me guys going door to door. Do you know what I mean? That seem, they seem, even when it first burst onto the scene, they were hardly shooting in the air. Do you know what I mean? So you're absolutely right. Even with what substantiation we can gather, facts, whatever. We have no idea.
Exactly. And with what we know and is readily available for every single person who has literally no experience about video editing, you can make anything look believable. You can make any video you want. And there's technologies out there we don't have access to, like deepfake technology, which we know about because they tell us about it. They show us examples, just like that Obama, and whatever, this guy was on stage and he was like, which one of these? He showed four videos of Obama. And he's like, which one is the real Obama? And he's like, actually, none of them. But all of them looked exactly real, like he was saying something, but it was all generated with this deepfake technology. You mean to tell me they're not doing that with like Biden and even Trump at times? Like, who knows? Who knows? Like, it's literally a show. It's an illusion. We've seen the Pope disappear in front of our eyes. We have blue beam technology that can produce holograms that are actually tangible, that you can touch and feel.
It's crazy. Look at that app on your phone, that Reface app. Look what it can do. And that's on your phone. You're just taking a photo of anybody and you're putting it on like a movie star and and that's just literally on your phone for say $25 a year, or it's a one-off payment.
Yeah.
And I mean, we know we've had some fun with that anyway. Do you know what I mean? But if you can do that on your phone, at what stage are they doing this? You know, in
that's my point.
Israel, Australia. Yeah, it's a great show.
That's my point. And I've said this before on the show, and a UFO can land in my front yard, and a real life alien can walk out, and I could film it in 4K and put it all over the internet, and probably 100% of the people are going to say it's fake.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter right now. It's not about seeing the change. It's about feeling the change. Yeah. We have to go by how things feel. Like it doesn't matter what things look like, because we know it's all an illusion. We know it's all an illusion. Actually, we want to see the world in this state right now, because prior to that, when everything seemed to be okay and appeared to be nice and happy, that was the illusion. So
it was, yeah.
So right now we're just seeing it as it's always been, you know, but obviously we're being deceived and lied to, like we just said.
Yeah. It's probably the most honest we've seen the world.
Yes.
And I think that's what's so disturbing for some people. I mean, when have you known in a time like this that almost every government head or official is making a grand arse of things? You've got Scott Morrison, Dan Andrews in Australia. Yeah. You've got Ardern in New Zealand. You've got Johnson in the UK. You've got Sturgeon in Scotland. We've got Biden. You know, you've got Merkel in Germany. You've got Trudeau in Canada. And to be honest, the only one that really seems real is Kim Jong-un, because at least, do you know what I mean? At least you know that many at once. I mean, he doesn't hide nothing. He literally just tells you. But we know, well, what, you know, he's just an actor. He's a front, or he's been put in there because most of North Korea is CIA black sites, or, you know, whatever they've got there, you know? So there's never been a time like this that almost every country in the world, you know, barring some, you know, I'm not saying lesser countries, but lesser well-known countries, I suppose. But every one of them is wobbling. Every one of them, you know, it's daily. The corruption has been exposed here with regards to, you know, the COVID numbers, the vaccination numbers, the backhanding deals for the PPE, you know, whatever it is, it's literally daily.
It's a number game. And sorry, I keep muting myself.
No, it's all right.
I keep muting myself. I have the sniffles today. I'm getting over a little cold, but it's a numbers game. Literally, it just is. Like, it's like, okay, these people are going to believe anything. Like, how many times have Biden misquoted the population of the United States? Yeah, and you know, by millions of people. Like he's you know, he says we have like 50 million more people here than we actually do. Yeah, and it's almost like they're just doing it on purpose, just to see what they can get away with and see who's paying attention. Yeah, I don't know if they're being set up right now, this white hat operation. Yeah, like they're just leading them into a trap. Who knows? Nothing is as it appears. That's all I know.
I'm absolutely with you there. I think if we're almost on a mass confusion, and I suppose if it is a white hat operation, it must be working, you know, to every level. It's confusing everybody. I don't think anybody can nail anything right now, and I think this is where you're going to see, you know, a lot of good stuff coming out with, you know, people bringing together some theories. Do you know what I mean? But the good people, or some of these people that do bring these theories or their ideas together, they literally state it. Look, this is a theory. This is how I see it. This is based on my experience, rather than it just being like a 30-second video and going, look, this is what's happening. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's almost like the rise of that kind of people thinking out loud again is reappearing, which is great, because I think because there's so much kind of good theories been flown about. You know, there's a lot of just generalized, you know, it's this, it's that, it's various other things, which, if we're going to be responsible, it's a lot of stuff to wade through, Tyler, and it's tiresome at times. Do you know what I mean? That everybody's allowed an opinion. I get opinions are like arseholes, but for me, some arseholes are nice and smelly and smelling nice, and you maybe want to investigate them a wee bit more, but some arseholes are dirty and shitty, and you just don't want to get near them. Do you get what I mean? So it's not just that opinions are arseholes; they break down into that kind of two category. So we're kind of in the shitty category just now. But and that's the same for myself. I still think, I don't know, it's no thing or proved, and like you said, a lot of this stuff you've just got to go in intuition and how it feels. And, I've kind of said for quite a while, I get the feeling that it's almost a kind of Elysium type end.
Well, like I said earlier, the truth has a feeling, so does untruth. It's all vibration, it's all vibration, but something happens to your body, like we discussed earlier, when you hear the truth. Your body has a physical reaction. And people don't know how to tap into that or feel that or notice that. And it's all about information. And it's easy for someone to get up on stage and dazzle you with a bunch of fancy information. And if you're not able to feel that person's energy and feel their motives, you're going to be easily tricked, because sometimes you don't have to hear a word that's coming out of their mouth to know what they're about and to know what they're really saying. And, that's why we have all these people coming forward with dates and insiders and this and that. And this is going to happen on this day and that day, whatever. Bullshit. I'm sorry. Like you said, like if we all knew the plan exactly how it was going to play out, so would the enemy, and the plan wouldn't work. No matter how you look at it, I don't care. And but if we're all confused, like you said, nobody knows what's going on. The enemy is confused. They're confused. Maybe we do. Maybe Looking Glass is real and they have seen the outcome and we do win. I believe is the case. But it doesn't mean it's over. It doesn't mean it's over. And depending on what happens right now will also depend on on when this gets taken care of, because they can delay it. People can delay it because of this false information that's going on. Maybe it's all by design to create the confusion. I don't know.
I mean, it's great you say that. So it kind of leads on to this, my kind of next question for you. I know a lot of people, and we all probably think the same. We know the Earth's rotating into a new place in space and time. We've all, read various documents, Law 1 and various other things. If it is, what I'm trying to say is, what does fifth dimension or fourth density, what do you see it as? Is it a heightened level of consciousness where our abilities are, really enhanced? Because we know right now, I mean, I've spoken to you about this before, and I know the stuff that you've said, especially in the show, or the odd, when we message personally and stuff like that I've admitted to remote viewing spontaneously without, controlling it. I didn't know how it came about or where it came about, stuff like that. Like, somebody's going to call or somebody's going to message, right? So we know that's happening right now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, is it happening now? Is 5D that on a global scale? Is it, I'd like to get your thoughts on it. Really, because I mean, I don't know if there's still going to be evil, or no evil, but badness. Do you get what I mean? Is there still going to be conflict? Is there maybe not so much duality, but I don't know. So I'd like your perspective on that.
I don't think we're there yet. I think we're getting glimpses of it. I think
definitely. Yeah.
I think some of these conferences that we go to are glimpses of it. I'm convinced that the conference I went to in Hawaii was giving us all a preview of what life can be like.
Right. Okay.
Because that trip everybody on that trip, we all thought it felt like we were on a different planet, a different timeline. Everything, it was unreal. It was beautiful. I actually broke down in tears on that trip. We were on one of the boats going out for the dolphin swim, and I was with all these amazing people, and I was looking around at them and the landscape and how beautiful it was, and I just started crying. I couldn't help it. And I was like, why am I crying? And I realized that it had been so long since I had been happy. I had forgotten what happiness felt like, And I was like, oh my God, we've been beaten down so hard, so much, and living. I mean, you could even say poverty at this point, depending on.
No, I get you.
Not poverty in, as some people see it, but living the way we are.
Day to day, mouth to mouth, paycheck after paycheck. It's no way to live. It's
survival mode.
Yeah. Survival mode. Absolutely.
And on that moment on that boat, I just looked around and I was getting this feeling that I couldn't explain. And I was like, oh my God, like the only way to explain it was happiness. And then I was like, holy shit, like I forgot what it was like to have fun and be happy if I ever knew in the first place,
Yeah.
But it was a glimpse.
That's incredible.
It was a glimpse into what a 5D world would be like, where we're all here for each other. And I think Laura's channel name, 1 Foot in 5D, is exactly where a lot of us are right now. We're getting glimpses of it, but there's no way we're meant to be there or even ready for it yet. I don't know if it's physical. I don't know if it's another dimension. I don't know what it's going to look like. It's all speculation.
I think you make a great shout. I think Lara's that kind of 1 foot in 5D. There's days where, no matter what I'm doing, it's just bliss. I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is nuts. This is an incredible feeling. And imagine feeling like this every day. And then there's days where, I've got pain, I can feel epilepsy, I'm like, you're almost saying, fucking deep state's going to win this. Do you know what I mean? They're going to wipe us all out. And then it's like another day and it's woohoo, running about daft with the dog, chasing kids off of swings, stuff like that. So it's great. But no, I get you. And it's like an unconditional love thing that I know, it's not bringing up. I know you and I are a bit similar. We both lost our mothers, which I think was a kind of catalyst to a degree of searching. And one of the big things I've always spoken about was that I was in the Middle East and, she died alone here, and I came back in a plane and, I just meditated on the way over, and I was transported, to, I only can say the centre of the sun, and there she was, speaking to me like I am chatting with you right now, and the unconditional love that I'd never, we all talk about unconditional love, like I know you've got a great relationship with your dad and stuff like that, and we kind of know unconditional love to a degree, but this was beyond anything I'd ever felt. The only time I ever felt it was when I lost her. That because it was the negative side of it. It was just that absolute heartbreak. But this was the exact opposite, and I'm going, what is this? This is mental. I don't know what I'm feeling here.
Well, we've been steered away from our heart chakra our whole lives. So it's just, you're right. Like we don't even know what unconditional love feels like from human to human, because there's that human element there. There's people who are in love unconditionally. I believe that. To an extent, but there's it's almost like that unconditional love that you're speaking of has this otherworldly feeling. That can't quite exist here on the 3D planet. I don't think it can. I'm not saying I don't want to. I need to watch how I say that, because I don't want to create that reality to where it's not possible to achieve.
No, I get you.
But I think that type of feeling that we're talking about, we're getting glimpses of another timeline of a brighter future of a 5D Earth, where it can be like that. And if we were all to get showered with that feeling right now, people wouldn't know how to react. It would actually scare people. That's why, some of these people, sometimes whenever love does enter somebody's life, they push it away because their body doesn't know how to respond to it. They're used to things being so negative all the time that when something good comes along, they start self-sabotaging and sabotage the situation.
You find excuses for it not to happen. I mean, it's almost like when you break up with a girl breaks up with a boy, you almost protect, that's it, I'm not doing that again, I'm not falling in love again. And I messaged Amber, they held the meditation yesterday, and I thanked, because my heart chart just exploded open. I mean, I was getting shit that was coming in was intense. It was incredible, but I almost seen it like it was all this mud around it, and the green rays were bursting through, and it was cracking open, and then all of a sudden it just boom, and I was like, it was like every negative experience I had through loving somebody else, you know, every wee patch had been over it, but it just exploded out, and I was like, wow, I'm quite taken aback. I don't know how to deal with this. I don't know if I could be like that every day. Do you know what I mean? Because there's almost part of me going, how then do I defend myself? How then, you know, if I need, you know, to stand strong, you know?
When you're in love, you lose control. That's what happens. Love, you lose control of the situation, which is something that people need to do anyway. Some people have a problem with having to be in control of things, and that's not a good way to live, you know. So whenever you lose control, it's scary. Everything about it's scary. And like I said, it all starts from childhood, from birth. We are immediately, you know, injected with however many shots, you know, it's up to now, immediately to start altering our DNA to get us out of the energy body, to fuck with our vibration right off the bat. And we are constantly steered away from that heart chakra, and we're not taught how to live in the heart space. We're not saying that people are not there doing it, because there are people doing it, but the majority of the system's designed to keep us from discovering that and living like that. And that's why we're here. That's why we have the problem. That's why we're here today, because if we knew what that felt like, we would never have let go of that from day one. You there?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think it's something like 63 shots now. I think in my day, I'm slightly older than you, about 10 years, I think. I think I was about 6, you know, between, you know, being born and 12, but I think it's 63 now. And so that generation, you know, really, what kind of shape's that going to be in? I really think, you know, that kind of 80s, early 90s generation that's the last that will stand. That's the last that will, you know, really, you know, find a purpose and willing to fight, because the indoctrination and the medical interventions that have, you know, not just doubled, tripled, quadrupled, you know, is absolutely designed to stop them doing that. You know, finding that strength, finding that will.
Yeah, I posted a lot of stuff about the jab, you know, lately. And they just get checked. You know, it gets a fact checked, but they don't remove it. You know, they're just you know, censoring it all. But all the time, almost daily, I'm posting something about it. The one post that got removed was when I broke it down how it's cutting us off from God source, and it's changing.
Oh, right. I mean to post that.
And I forgot how it was worded, but it was just about how it it changes our DNA and cuts off our connection with God. And that one got removed. It got removed, and I got threatened. They threatened to delete my account because of it. Not the post where I'm talking about the ingredients and the harmful side effects, and the fact that it's just wrong to have mandatory vaccinations anyway. Those posts just get fact checked. But the one where I talked about cutting off the God connection, the one where most people wouldn't even really comprehend that anyway, that got removed. Why?
And it's a great shout to come out of next, but you get something tight on Facebook when you post. You know why I resonate with you guys. It's a lot to do with the secret space program stuff and that, but the hate that you get when you do interviews or you post anything regarding the secret space program, you get pumped. You get it from all angles. You know, Spotify's just, you know, did they suspend you or delete you? You know.
Well, they suspended us. We don't actually know, but it's gone. Like our channels. Well, first of all, it was kind of interesting to me because I didn't realize how many people listen to us on Spotify.
I do it more on Spotify than I do it on YouTube.
Yeah, and well, so
it's easy to get away with at work. Yeah.
Apparently, so do other people, and I didn't know that. We started getting emails and messages, and what happened to your Spotify? So we had to look. We never got an official notification, but we were wiped out, and so we were like, it was straight up gone. We couldn't find it on the back end.
No.
So we tried. Well, Aaron tried. Well, maybe let's just try and upload it, like re-upload our podcast on the Spotify, and it says, this podcast already exists. Blah blah blah. I'm like, well, no, it doesn't because it's not here. And then you go into their terms and conditions, and they said that if something violates their terms and conditions, they don't have to have a reason. They can just delete it if they want to.
It's termination for convenience. I've done a bit of work for the likes of Martin Geddes, and I tried to help out Nicole Frolic. You know, with that, and it's a nasty clause. Most of them are getting it, and what they're really saying is, like, we could wake up one morning and just not like you, but it's just their excuse that if they feel as if you're getting too close to the truth, they don't need to notify you, they don't need to do a thing. So I did some work for Martin Geddes as well, and kind of helped them negotiate new terms with a new company. You know, that at least he could terminate if he wanted to, or they had to give him 60-day notice and stuff. So it's a nasty thing, but it's not just that you know, you get attacked on Facebook as well when it's secret space program stuff, and you and I have commented, you know, on your posts, and you keep saying it's the same, that the messages are, even when you're doing the live chat, they just come out, they just come and get you.
Yeah, it's and some of them are paid shills. I'm pretty convinced of it. I know that exists. I know that there's people out there that are literally paid, and they are assigned a person.
Right.
Look into, get to know them, know what triggers them, and then they appear online as somebody, and you know, and then I'm not joking.
Sneaky bastards. Honestly, sneaky bastards.
I don't even know, but I was going somewhere with that censorship. Yeah, the whole Spotify thing. Oh yeah, people think that now we're getting accused of being compromised or being shills ourselves because we still have a YouTube channel. So people think that because we have a channel now that actually discredits us, and like, you know, what are we supposed to do? Or wipe out our account? Like, oh no, we got attacked, and then people will believe her. And by the way, I think that's part of my theory with a lot of the shill accounts. They all get attacked and wiped out. That's by design. That makes them more credible to somebody. That look at that. People don't want to listen to us now because we still have a channel. But if we got wiped out, then it makes us more credible. People know that. These people know, these bots, these shills know that. So they'll take down the shills account just to make people think, oh, well, they must be speaking the truth because their account got removed.
Jesus Christ.
They know they know what they're doing, you know.
Oh, yeah, but you know, by them doing that, they're feeding the consciousness of people, right? That people start putting, you know, two and two together and get 7, right? Not even 4, not 5, not even 6, right? They're getting 7.
Yeah.
Well, Journey of Truth, you know, Aaron and Tyler, I think they're paid operatives because they've still got a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And you're like, right, okay, run us through this theory. And it's the same, it's almost like repeating the MSM or the Agent Smith narrative, you know.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you don't grow. I mean, you can't be a proper truther unless you've got a suspended YouTube channel.
Yeah. I mean,
is that right?
Yeah. And we've had videos removed, and the videos we've had removed are all due to medical misinformation, is what they say.
Yeah.
And we have strikes on our account and this and that. Yeah. I mean, it happens. Thank God we still have a channel, you know.
Yeah, but you know what you did though, when that started happening, you did create, you know, on other platforms, though, didn't you? Like, is it Foxhole or is it Rumble? Or
we're all over the place.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, but you know, there's no denying the reach of YouTube. You know, we can cry for all the censorship and all the rest of it we want, but it's still a necessary evil. You want to call it that? Yeah.
So is Twitter, so is Facebook, so is Instagram,
Absolutely.
so is all of it. We can create 1,000 different alternative platforms, and I'm sorry, but they're just echo chambers.
Yeah.
You're not going to reach because people who are on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram already that aren't truthers have no reason to leave that platform. So they're not going to look for an alternative platform.
No.
So therefore, they're not going to nobody's going to wake them up unless we're staying on those platforms, because there's algorithms there and there's a better chance for a random person finding you on one of those platforms than there is for a random person finding you on Telegram or Foxhole, a platform that's not readily available and easy to find. Some people don't even know how it works. If it's not thrown in their face, they're not going to go look for it. And sometimes it's a pain in the ass to download this stuff, and people don't want that many apps on their phone.
Yeah.
And
like you said, it's the algorithm that, the chances are, you guys popping up are better on YouTube or better on Twitter or better on Facebook, and you can call them for whatever you want. You know what I mean? We know what it's like, but if the whole point of this is to reach random people that won't go looking at Rumble, BitChute, or even Telegram or whatever, right?
Yeah.
This is the way to do it. We were told adapt, evolve, camouflage, do whatever you can, but you stay on these platforms.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's not rocket science, this.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw a theory past you. Atlantis has always been a great one to look at, for various reasons. I think Ancient Aliens do quite a good job, especially Graham Hancock. I think his work on Atlantis is probably some of the best out there.
Yeah.
So I had a slight theory, and again, it's just verbal just now, but we know, is it Tartaria? Or is that to say, the mud flaps, right? So when you think about that, right, the mud flaps, it would be a flood that would cause it. So are we looking at Atlantis wrong, in a sense that Atlantis was an empire? Yes, there was a place, a city, an island even, called Atlantis. And then I went, well, look at the British Empire, right? For centuries, the British Empire was in Canada, was in the US, India, Africa, Hong Kong, Australia, New Zealand. But Britain, as in British, was still a small island in the Atlantic. Now, I'm not suggesting Britain is Atlantis, right? But I'm saying, what if the British Empire replicated Atlantis's reach?
Yeah, and you're talking about Tartaria then.
Yeah. Well, I think they're both the same.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going with this.
Well, yeah. So was there ever a Middle Ages, or was there 100 years ago, instead of the Middle Ages, was it a Golden Age that was covered up? Yeah. The Golden Age that was covered up, and by a lot of people think the World's Fairs. Right around that time, we started having these World Fairs everywhere, but they were in strategic locations to where they were required to demolish ancient structures and buildings in order to set up the fair. Yeah. But they weren't that wasn't by accident. That was by design. They're erasing history under the guise of a World Fair, of this new this new birth of this whatever technology and
third industrial revolution.
There you go. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah. And it's actually entirely possible if you know how they operate.
Yeah.
And like we said earlier, we just have to take their word for it.
Yeah.
We have to take their word for history. How easy is it to make up history and implant it in a schooling system and indoctrinate everybody and give everybody a false reality? I mean, it's not hard at all.
Yeah. No, it's not hard. But what is difficult now, or what's apparent now, is the fact that so with so many people awake now, right? People are seeing the change. And again, sometimes I get a bit of hate by the way I speak about the UK or Scotland, right? But my determination is against the current government and what they've been doing for the last 15, 16, 17 years, right? And in World War II, we know both sides were funded, but what they're trying to teach now in Scotland is that Churchill sent in the tanks into Glasgow Square to kill Scottish people, which is far away for to get what I mean. It's not true. But in school, it's part of a history lesson to say that Hitler, right? So that can be proved. That can be proved that this has been taught at school.
Yeah.
It's the same as, 4-year-olds. 4-year-olds now can identify whatever gender they want, don't need parents' permission, and the teacher needs, and the critical race theory is being rolled out here. And for long enough, I've said, especially Scotland, is a testing ground for blue states, for democratic states in the US. So we had here early release of prisoners for COVID. 7 days later, Gavin Newsom released the prisoners in California, but it happened here first. You know what I mean? So we can actually track these changes now, and a certain letter and a certain number said, look at history 10 years ago, look at 20 years ago, look how they're trying to wipe it out. So it's actually physically now, you can absolutely see the substantiation between the two now,
Yeah. And I know we got off, you were wanting to talk about Atlantis, right? Or
Tartaria. Wait a wee tangent.
Yeah, we kind of straight off a little bit, but no, I agree. I do think that you're right about that. As far as obviously, there's places that are going to be the guinea pig. They have to test this stuff out. They've already tested it out, I'm sure, and like simulations. But now they want to take it to the surface and see, and do a real test.
If it's globally accepted,
exactly. So I believe that.
Yeah. So what is your thoughts on Atlantis then? Do you I do believe it was
I think it was worldwide.
Yeah.
I think it was. I think. I mean, there's contradicting information about Atlantis. Obviously, people say Antarctica was once tropical, and that's where it was. Other people say it was in the Bermuda Triangle area.
Yeah.
And then there's the theory that it was worldwide. It was, there might have been one specific area that they talk about with the rings and the island, whatever.
Yeah.
That might have been like the central hub, or where loyalty lived. Royalty, not loyalty. Royalty. Where royalty lived.
Both.
Yeah, both. Yeah. But then it might have been a worldwide civilization. And
I think there's enough evidence to suggest that. Like you said, even if you take in the way the world fairs were strategically put, I mean, they were demolishing these things, and was that to eliminate Atlantis' reach? Yeah.
Well, I mean, Atlantis. What do we know? What do we think we know? It was destroyed by basically reptilian technology that. They got greedy and they lost control of their own experiment, basically.
Yeah.
And it sank the island or whatever. There's so many theories. But either way, it's exactly what we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
But this time there's a spiritual awakening going along with it that wasn't happening before. Even though those people were more advanced than us, doesn't mean that they were spiritually awakened.
Yeah.
Just because they had abilities that seem magical to us and technology that seems impossible doesn't mean that their morals were there. Doesn't mean that they had ethics. It doesn't mean that they were doing things for the right reasons. And it might have been a civilization of people all in their ego. We don't know. We don't know.
Yeah.
But we do know that whatever they were doing didn't work. And this is literally our second chance at it.
Yeah.
And it's exactly like the fall of Atlantis is what we're living through right now. Yeah. But we have this awakening taking place that's shifting, that's changing everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible to see. It's almost every city now, every major city. I mean, you got to feel for France that, the Yellow Jackets have been, marching every weekend now, prior to even COVID for, almost 18 months. But it was never covered properly. But to see them now, every major city in France, and the MSM here, the Telegraph especially, is covering it, and they're saying the numbers as well. They're saying like 250,000 people per city. So if there's 7 cities, do you get what I mean? That's 1.5 million people every weekend are marching against. But it's not just the unvaxxed, the vaccinated people are there's unity. And again, this is where I'm trying to be careful, is that, again, kind of said it at the start, look, it might be somebody's journey that's what they need to take, for them to wake up and, whatever it is. But, whether we like it or, the amount of censorship or the amount of, I literally have no family speaking to me at all for my beliefs or the way I've made a stand, right? But, I know deep down that they still love me, but, it's difficult. But whether we like it or not, it'll likely be the numbers of the vaccinated people that'll likely get us out of this to a degree, vaccine passport type thing.
Yeah.
Going in. But there's another thing, that look at the language that we use, and you and I and other people's beliefs with reptilians and all the rest of it, that normal people use these phrases like draconian measures, and you know what they're like, but then you go, you're using the word draconian. Do you really know where that comes from? And they'll go, you're going to start this reptilian piss again. And I'm going, but that's where it came from. That's what they do. And, people are writing to their MPs, which I think is great. And I think, they need to do it. But some of these leaders, they've not got a soul. They're likely not human. And you're trying to negotiate with an absolute maniac, a psychopath.
Yeah.
And you don't negotiate with these people.
Well, I mean, even looking back at like the representation of the serpent throughout history, that's not just coming from some myth and legend. Like that's their way of trying to tell you that this is a real species. This is a real phenomenon on this planet.
Yeah.
Anyway, I agree. Yeah, the draconian measures, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that the jab does have a lot to do with the split. And, the people who, it's karma. People are making a literal choice by getting it, they're choosing their, I think, and, I know half my family, half the people I know at this point have gotten the shot.
I'm saying,
I think that's them making their choice on which timeline they want without even knowing it.
Yeah.
Because if you're aware of the positive timeline, you're not getting the shot.
No, you're absolutely
right. I don't care if you're forced into it. There's no force on this planet that's gonna make you. There's no force on this planet that's gonna make you accept this shot. Gonna want to take it.
No, and you're right, and the lengths, that I know I'm willing to go through. I could say I had a tough 18 months, losing gran, losing my business, eating 2 meals a week, still, keeping a roof over my head. But I look at that as a positive. I look at that as my absolute will to keep on going, no matter what. And, I went back into the working world, for, let's say, there's still the 3D life you need to live, do you know what I mean? Until, things are different.
Yeah.
But I managed to get something where they're not even testing every day. There's no mandate to mask. There's no mandate. There's not even a word of vaccination. But that still might change. But I've done enough. I've got my law degree. I've helped others on this journey. About what their rights are, and talking about Magna Carta and various other things. So I'll fight tooth and nail. And I don't mean to sound bad, but I made peace a while ago that I'll die on my sword.
Me too.
I've no issue with it.
I'll go down swinging. I'll spend the rest of my life.
So will I.
I'll spend the rest of my life in freaking prison if I have to. If it means not getting the shot.
Yeah. I'm with you. I made peace with that.
There's nothing they can present me with that's going to be appealing enough to make me want to get it.
Yeah, I don't care who promotes it. I don't care if they say it's 100% safe. I don't need it. I don't.
Yeah. The only, that's me though. It's easy for me to say as a single person with no children, right? There's other people who a parent might be put in a different position to where let's just pretend like, oh, we'll take your kids away if you don't get the shot. Okay, now what do you do? Because things are getting real.
Yeah.
So it's easy. It's easy for me just to say, oh yeah, I'll go down swinging, but we have to consider that there's other people and other circumstances that, you know, it's not easy.
And I'm not trying to be controversial here, but I know at least 2 or 3 people that didn't want to do it, weighed it up. They knew it maybe wasn't good, but they did it for what they believed to be the greater good. You know, like almost taking a bullet type thing. And you know, for all that I'm saying, if my grandmother was still alive and I could get an extra day with her, and the only way I could get in to see her, and the only way she would feel safe, I've got to admit, I would consider taking it, you know, but I'm not in that position now. I'm not. And, you know, I live with epilepsy. I've said to my work, look, hey, listen, if, you know, I'm not saying no. I'll wait till the trial's up, and if everyone comes back okay, I'll consider it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but that's because I know how to play that's how I know how to play that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's just it. They know everybody has a breaking point. Everybody does, you know. Yeah. It just depends on your situation sometimes, and it's going to look different for every single person. There's not one answer for this whole thing right now.
No, I absolutely agree. I just,
like I said earlier, there's karma involved. Some people maybe are supposed to be going through what they're going through, and they're here for a different reason.
Yeah.
You know, there's always that polarity, that duality. There's a balance. For every star seed, there's a non-star seed that's fucking shit up. You know? And
for every non-star seed, there's a star seed fucking that up.
Yeah.
I like that though. It's a nice way of looking at duality. I never considered that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think about all these shills and these misinfo agents, disinfo people, whatever you want to call them, that are out there that's, you know, saying that they have information from insiders, stuff that no one can prove, right?
Yeah.
We don't know one way or the other, to be honest. We really don't.
No, I agree.
Sometimes I can, you know, some of these people are full of shit and you can just feel it. Other times I consider what they're saying. I know they can't prove it, but here's the thing. There might be a lesson in that for every person that falls for that fake information. They're going to learn something. They're going to learn the hard way. They're going to come back a better person. Maybe it's supposed to happen like that. Maybe we're supposed to let the shills be shills. And then if you devote your time now to calling out the shills, they've gotten to you, because now you have forgotten about your message and you stop putting out the information because you are so worried about calling them out in every little thing they say. And now you've gone astray.
You're off mission. Yeah. I mean, it's a hero's journey. I think it's you know, something like step 13 or step 14. Joseph Campbell calls it the Temperance, and you know, it doesn't always come in a female, but the whole point of it is to take you away from your mission. So you still have a choice, right? But the choice is, do I go for all the glitz and glamour, you know, of a female or whatever it is, or a job, or is it you constantly call out the shills? But by doing that, you're coming away from the mission that made you resonate with a lot of people.
And
so it's still a hero's journey. Yeah.
And what you're doing is just like the mainstream does when they make fun of us. It draws attention to us. And people look into us. So whenever you call it a shill, it actually puts more eyes on them, and you're giving them more attention. And then you're building your account now based on calling out these shills. And is that not stepping on the backs of others to build yourself up? And
the whole point was no one above another, and we care.
It's all interesting to me. It's just I think that the shills right now all have a place, and there's lessons in this for everybody. And if you fall for it and you take the bait and you believe everything they say, and then you are let down, then that's your lesson. That's your lesson. It's not, why is it our job to sit here and point these people, call them out, you know? I don't know. There's not one answer, and everybody's going to disagree with that. Not everybody, but a lot of people are going to.
No. I think you're bang on. You know that you can ask for a better assessment, really, of that. It's the same as you know yourself. Some people are still in following mode. You know, they still want to be told, you know, what the truth is, or what to be researched, or even what to think.
Yeah.
You know that, and you know, is some becoming such. You know, almost parroting even people in the truth movement. And, you know, the whole point was not, you know, you call out people that parrot the MSM. Do you know what I mean? But where some just parrot what they've heard and, you know, they won't do their own research. I mean, I don't take anybody's, you know, kind of word or that. I like to take something, if I resonate with it, I'll go, oh, that's worth digging, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, I kind of posted about, you know, who would be a whistleblower? I mean, it's a life not really worth. Do you get what I mean? It's mental. You're hunted left, right, and centre. It's not just one side; it's the other side, and it's straight down the middle. And not everyone can be substantiated. I mean, I think every one of us could say we've got like insider intelligence, because if you've got like a Amazon Echo or that in your house, you know an intelligence agency is listening to you anyway. So you was willing to say, yeah, I've got an insider. It's called Amazon Echo.
Yeah.
So there's an element of truth that we do all of insiders. It's just, you know, some communicate with us, some don't.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't want to ever just kind of, I like research and I like, you know, finding subjects. And the subject has always been, whether I liked it or not, was the secret space program. I mean, I look back even in 2012, the Huff Post in the UK done a huge article on solar warden.
Really? Yeah.
And I was like, how did I miss that? How did I miss that in 2012?
Yeah.
And I've only discovered, you know, the SSP through, you know, because of you guys and you know, Corey's testimonies and others. So how the hell did I miss that?
Yeah. Exactly. Right. I don't know. How did we miss it? Well, it's all designed. It all gets brushed under the rug, you know. And if you're not, and you weren't, I wasn't in a place in our lives at that point where it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered if it was laid out in front of us. We had other things. We had other things to do. We had other things to do first that made us who we are, you know. And the people that went through the toughest they had the toughest lives and went through hell are only going to be stronger. Like that's what makes a true master. Somebody who's experienced it all, somebody who's been through it all, and because how can you relate with somebody if you've never been through what they've been through?
Yeah.
So all that stuff is just like tools under your belt now.
Yeah.
On your belt.
Yeah. Some of the best people I've ever came across are the ones that have been absolutely broken, and not just once, not twice. You know, they went through hell, you know, even abuse and all the rest of it, and to still see them function, to still see them with an open heart, to still see them with so much compassion, empathy, you know, you're going, God, that just makes my shit just seem shit, you know. It does.
Well, there's always,
you know.
Yeah, we forget too, you know, even though we're going through whatever, there's things going on in this planet that we can look at that really put our life into perspective.
Yeah.
And even my own family vacation did that for me.
Right. Okay.
I just recently went on a trip that I didn't necessarily want to go on.
All right.
With my family, because I knew it was just going to be this 3D trip that isn't for me anymore.
Yeah.
But it was for me because, for one, I realized, you know, after the fact, certain members of my family actually needed me there for certain reasons. And I needed to be there to put my own life into perspective, because I saw the hardships and the conflict and the animosity between my family, between family members who live under the same roof, and their daily struggles don't just stop when you come on vacation. And I see that, and I look at my situation, and sometimes I'm down in the dumps half the time, and then but why? Like it could be I should be so grateful for the position that I'm in. I don't have, and some of these, and just like things we don't think about. How hard is it to have a parent that's going through an awakening and they have a teenager who's fallen for all the bullshit and getting mad at their, now you have a poor relationship with your child because of your child wants to wear the mask and vote for Biden and take the vaccine, and you're Trump and no vaccine. You're pro awakening. They're not. That's not easy, and that's what people are dealing with, and I don't have to deal with that, so I have to be grateful.
Yeah, I mean, I love this conversation we're having all the way through, because it's really quite honest, and it's pulling me out of my comfort zone myself, and I'm about to explain why. Is it just what you've mentioned there, that I've got that with my youngest, that we've kind of estranged now because of he's awakened, but he's got a certain lifestyle that, you know, I've tried to support best I can. Yeah, I've tried to see it from all angles, and you know, I get a message saying, you know, I don't want you to be my dad anymore. I want my mum's new husband to be my adoptive dad. Will you sign the papers? And
man, I'm sorry.
What do you? No, I mean, what do you do with that? You know, you do everything. I mean, I've done some things that would you know, turn folks. You know, I'm you know, my favourite quote is, you know, I'd rather be a warrior in the garden than a gardener in a war. And you know, I know what I'm capable of, but I'm quite peaceful that way. But that's shaking me, because you know, you start analysing every time we were together, you know, something that I said that I thought was the right thing to say at the time, and I've never been one for appeasement. Do you know what I mean? I think the truth will always ring through, but man, it's been 6 months, mate, and it breaks my heart. But you know, he's on his own journey now, and he knows I love him, and I know he loves me. But you know, that's
you know what
would you do with that? You know,
I don't have the answer for that.
Or no, I'm just saying that you've drawn this out of me, and I appreciate that. You know,
I feel your energy right now, and I don't even know how to begin to imagine what you're going through, but I do know that everybody's on their own path. You know, everybody's on their own path, and who knows? Your son will go through whatever he has to go through, and maybe he'll come back around.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
This is all part of his learning experience. But what I do know, no matter how bad we want something, we can't force anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's just a hard reality of it.
Yeah. So, and that is a side of it, but it's because of your, you know, you kind of the way you spoke there, and I was like, wow, you know, it's like you kind of drew it out of me, not in a negative way. I mean, and that, you know, to actually say that out loud, to say that, you know, to somebody, you know, much respect I've got for you, to, you know, consider you, you know, a brother. And even though this is the first time we've actually been almost face to face and speaking, but I can't thank you enough for, because it had to come out. And hey, I'm kind of sorry it was you, but I'm kind of glad it was you at the same time.
Yeah, no,
you know if that makes sense.
If I'm the right person to tell it to you. I mean, I don't know why I'm the right person, but
you've got that face. You've really got that face for it, you know. You've been through a lot. You've got a face for it. Just like me. I mean, I wasn't born this ugly. I fucking earned the right, you know, through my construction days as a bricklayer, you know, falling off of roofs and all the rest of it, car crashes. I earned the fucking right to look like this. You know.
That's funny, man.
No, I thank you so much. You know,
thank you. This has been awesome.
It has, mate. Honestly, I kind of just wanted to do it on an ad hoc basis. Just do it, kind of, you know, here's some subjects and just let it flow. And I couldn't have asked for any better, mate. I really couldn't. I know you're feeling like shit, mate. I know, and I can't thank you enough for still sticking with us, man. It's incredible. It's a testament to who you are, really. You know.
I'm not so much feeling like shit as I just have a runny nose, and it's just been annoying the whole time. And throughout the whole time of me not feeling good the past couple of days, my nose hasn't been running. And all of a sudden today, when I have to do this, my nose is running. Like, Whatever.
By design, mate. By design. You can't be shouting all throughout this about design and then say, I bet it just started today.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I don't disagree with that. But yeah, man, this was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. No, thanks for agreeing to it.